Hi there, this is Artsy Wisdom. My name's Diane. Thank you for coming by. It's a cool, windy, gusty even day. And it's kind of one of those days you want to stay in and have a cup of tea and eat pies like I did for breakfast. Or not pies, I didn't eat a whole pie. I had a piece of pie. But it was delicious. And I actually am going to make some peach cobbler here soon. I'll send you guys a photo of that. I have a good recipe for it. But today we are going to look into all things Trump, his cases, Eileen Cannon, if there's going to be any shift with that, mostly about how Jack Smith is going to navigate those, the document case. And now he recently talked about he's not going to seek a major hearing on the January 6th insurrection indictments. I'm going to share with you what I saw about that as well. And also, Colin Allred is competing or running against Ted Cruz. And I looked into those images and how Ted Cruz came to mind for me. It's not so delicious. Anyway, again, thank you for coming by. Abby's over there. She's on the sofa. She's excited about today. You can tell. She's super excited. All right, let's get going. Okay, let's get started. Now, before I do, I want to thank you, those of you who commented and responded to my question about what you'd like to see on my channel, politics, celebrities, past lives, other European things or global stuff. I really appreciate it. Continue to do that. Thank you. And also the lovely happy birthday wishes. You guys are awesome. And I feel like I'm making a community. We are making a community here, which is one of my goals. So bringing light, expanding it out into the world. And I think it's happening. People had responded to that idea of the light helping us bring the miracle month of the Democratic Party and this big giant shift. And I do feel as if we all contributed to that. I know it seems crazy, but what you believe to be true, how you think, how you send that out into the world does manifest. It really and truly does. So good. All right. So let's get started. I saw a post on what I got thinking about it. Well, I wanted to do the court cases for Trump, but what I saw on Linda G's thing is her post was about Jack Smith not seeking that hearing. So I got into Jack Smith's energy, and you'll see him here. He's an apple pie because Granny Smith's, and it's solid and it's all American and can't really screw it up too bad. It's good. But I saw him, I got into his energy, and I see in front of me, so there's the January 6th insurrection case against Trump. Oh yeah, by the way, what I saw or what I read was that this isn't a bad thing necessarily. What I saw was, what I read was that they're still processing all the new immunity rules that the Supreme Court came up with for presidential immunity for when he's doing his job, or she is doing her job. And they're still processing those. I felt like in his energy, I feel like if I turn around, I have a giant office, a sea of people behind me. So he's the figurehead. He's the one leading it besides Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland makes the ultimate decision. And that's part of this whole process because they have to make a calculated decision how to move forward. And I saw Jack Smith in front of this mass amount of people, like an army, actually. That's how it felt, like an army, but at desks. And he sees Trump in amongst this case, or the immunity, all the arguments, all the appeals, delays, all the different things that they have to get through. It's like a giant concrete bunker. Now, as a reminder, in the past, I've seen Jack Smith guarding the election with those wooden spiky things that you see in wartime, and I don't know the name of those. I should figure out what the name of those are, but guarding the election. And I still see those. Absolutely see those. He is still doing his best to guard against Trump getting into the election. in this case, like big case against Trump over there, and it's just almost concrete, and it's really thick. It's like 10 feet deep, and it's kind of porous, like cindery, and cinder blocks have that kind of porous feeling. Maybe it's been built by cinder, but it's roundish. It's not. So there's holes, but they're very minute. And he sees that it's going to be really hard to get through there. And he really is waiting. The big feeling I got is he was waiting. But I don't feel that he will stop. I know there's an issue too as well. The DOJ has a rule against indicting candidates that are being elected around, or even just maybe around election time, officials. They don't prosecute during those periods of time after September 1st until the election. Because if you're trying to be neutral and not affect the election, that's part of that concept or that policy. Ideally, that's what it should do, which we should do. Yet, in this situation, I know many of you, and I am included, are frustrated with the slow, like almost standing still process. The wheels of justice are just standing still, and they seem to be sinking in the mud a little bit. Almost like they can't get out of the mud. So what I did see, though, is first, I don't know if it's Jack Smith's fantasy or actually going to do it. I see him taking Trump and grabbing him by his collar and then dragging him over that whole big concrete giant barrier thing and bringing him to the other side. It's like, I think he just wants to do that so bad, but he can't. But he lifts him up and over drags him, and I can feel the little bit of cinders scratching his body as he's being dragged across there. But when I got into the timeline situation, I see there is, if I'm looking at Trump, I'm Jack Smith and his energy. I see to the left, there is an opening. It's not hard. It's an opening. Feels like this round thing is shorter on that side, so he can get around it over there. And he goes to, past Trump, he goes to an entity. I think it might be the Supreme Court or some other higher law. It has to be, or an appeals court, something like that. I feel like he's shooting around there. Now, what I did read too, he may be superseding this indictment and eliminating Jeremy Clark out of the documents because he was acting attorney general, I think, at the time. So he took him out of the documents because that's probably really related to presidential immunity. That's what they said. He may be doing that. And apparently he never said he absolutely was going to do this before the election, but I think people have spoken about it hoping he would. So now that he's going around that, I think that has something to do with it. In the past, I've seen him have a real targeted indictment where it shoots specifically at one thing to actually hit Trump, or get him prosecuted. That's a little different. He has to go around this big barrier, and he's going to appeal to the Supreme Court or do whatever he has to do. Now, I don't see Trump necessarily going away in this vision that I had. I feel like he goes past him. That's buttons barking in the background. And he's pulling something else to his left. He's pulling something else. So he's got some... Yeah, so what I saw is as me, getting his energy, I go around this blockade or this giant thick border or entity. He's pulling something with his left hand, like he's pulling something yellowy, and it feels soft, like it's not a fabric. I don't know if it's a person or an idea or it's almost necessary to accomplish the task. And it feels like a blanket. Maybe I'm symbolic for blanket of some sort of law, but it was yellowy. I don't know what that means. But as he comes around the corner, I see him in the pilot seat. And I've never been in a cockpit, but I've seen him on movies. And you see, that little instrument panel where the plane has its wings, and you can see where it has to stay stable, right? And that little thing. So I see him over like water or something. And I see him having this, watching that instrument panel, that little plane. He's trying to level it out, level out the plane so he can, it's very turbulent. So he can either land it, complete it, but he's over water, so it's very difficult. And I feel like there's breezes and all kinds of stuff that are keeping him from being straight on his course or stable and on the horizon or whatever it is that he can stay that way. But the feeling I get is as he's bringing this yellow blanket of whatever, it's a positive thing. It's a small thing though. And maybe it relates to that targeted indictment where it supersedes the original one. And whenever this happens, it's going to be after the election. And I feel like it maybe like next year, like February, maybe January or February. Actually, he might want to do it before the inauguration. That might be something. And then what I did see when I looked into the Eileen Cannon, the document cases down in Florida, where she just summarily said, dismissed, Justice Thomas just gave her the go ahead. Yeah, this is what I think. And she says, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to use that as an argument. Dismissed. Special counsel was unconstitutionally chosen. So, but what I did see, and remember, I always think, if you guys saw old videos, I think Eileen Cannon has daddy issues. There's something with her father. He was either famous, or her mother, one of her parents was strong and powerful, and they didn't give her enough attention, or she's trying to meet their expectations and it's nearly impossible. So she's always like very immature. I feel very immature when I'm in her energy. So when I see, again, I'm Jack Smith, and I see Eileen Cannon, she's over there. She's got to see, again, paperwork all in front of her. So maybe the documents, or maybe just her documents, or maybe the idea of the documents case. But it's the same kind of idea as the other one. But this case, it is low. It's like she's sitting at a table and they're low to the ground. And she's kind of on a boat, and it's like this, and she's jiggling. And little by little, some of the papers, they're just barely on there. When you do get one of those, you guys ever play this game where you put a penny or a quarter into a machine and it shoves the quarters out, and you get the ones that drop off, and you're trying to put the one in? That's kind of like it felt like. These papers are just moving, and one by one, oh darn it, it fell in the water. We can't use that. Oh darn it, that one fell in the water. She can't help it. From her perspective, this is her job, is to keep things just falling, just going away. Now, when I looked at that in the future, I feel as if it doesn't feel like it's such a hard sell, even though I know Jack Smith is seeing her and she's kind of sinking. She's drowning. Not literally, of course, but she's drowning. And I see him leapfrog over it, and he goes to the Supreme Court. And it doesn't feel like such a hard task for him. This is much easier, although the other is monumental. The insurrection is much harder case to prove for some reason because of the immunity. But in this case, I don't know why, but it feels like she's just shuffling these and moving things around, and she's not in control, but she acts like she is. So he successfully gets her sinking, going away. And the papers, though, are kind of traveling now, and he's trying to get them all. So I don't know if she sabotages anything, or maybe she's just done that already by dismissing it, and now things get complicated and they have to go find stuff because she's gotten rid of, I don't know if she got rid of evidence, but there's something underground that's happened. She's working on it, and her people are working on it. Trump's people are working on it, and it's in Florida, so who knows, All right, I think that was it. Oh yeah, and Judge Tuckin, apparently, I think she can do something with the January 6th hearings. She can ask for hearings just so they can plan for the future. So she might push that a little bit. Even though he's not seeking a hearing, she might ask for that. Okay, so when I pulled cards for Jack Smith, I got the Five of Swords, which is feeling sad and betrayed-ish. This is him with feeling like he's being cut through and he can't. It's very, I don't know what his sign is, but he's trying really hard to be powerful, but there's a mountain that's going right through him. Three of Swords, grief, and Four of Cups, which is meh. It seems dark, and you're focusing on the what's not working. So I don't feel as if I feel like he's very frustrated, and angry, and ultimately he will get his man. He's going to do it, but he's gotten clotheslined, or his knee's been taken out from under him a long time. So Mr. Apple Pie, I'm going to pull some cards just to see ultimately. Let's just see ultimately next year. Yeah, like I told you, January, February, at least the indictment will go through. Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands, fire. So that is being creative and getting stuff done. Then I pulled the Eight of Swords, which he might get. And then King of Wands. Wow, I got the Knight of Wands, the Queen of Wands, and the King of Wands. Creative, inspired, taking action, fighting for what's right. But also, going for, like, the leader, being the leader and taking charge. Looks like some things will go and some things won't next year. And then the Star. So, universe is with him. But timing is off. Timing is off because humans have created a scenario with Trump and all his minions, and he's appealing it. They're appealing it, so that's what's going to happen. All right, so let's go to the next. Let's see, Ted Cruz versus Colin Allred. Watch Colin Allred speak. I don't know about you guys. I get, like, and I'm not joking, 40 emails a day from the Democratic Party in different races all over the country. It's a lot. And I can't even open them. There's so many. But Colin Allred spoke at the Democratic National Convention. Very eloquent. Seemed like a really good guy. So I thought, well, maybe he will beat Ted Cruz. But when I got into Ted Cruz's energy, or the race, Ted Cruz, him and that goofy mutton chop thing, whatever he's wearing now, I don't know. But I'm at the top of the state, like Dallas. We lived near Dallas for a few months, years and years ago in the 90s. A lot of bugs. Texas has Texas-sized bugs, just FYI. But I felt he had, like Colin Allred, I see him over there. He has a huge swath of the state. It feels like it's for him. But then I see Ted Cruz has these, like, really wealthy men around him. Maybe there's women, but, like, maybe it's oil money or tech money or some kind of, it's a lot of money, and they're all right here, and they're so supportive. So they're more, even though Colin's got all this spread out, it's like small potatoes. This is like deep pockets, big money. And then even in Houston, I think it's less, but it's still, and I'm taking my mind around the state. San Antonio, not as much. But then he, then I see Colin Allred. I feel as if, and I'm sorry to say this, I think Ted Cruz will continue to be the senator from Texas. Yeah, I just think that's probably going to happen. I also saw him when I thought about Mr. Cruz, Senator Cruz. I saw him, and I don't even know what kind of dessert this would be, but if you go to a bakery, maybe a higher end bakery, there's like, it's not a petit four, but it's a cake where it's like chocolate is dribbled all over it. It becomes a hard shell. Okay. Maybe a little decoration on top. But this cake is in the back of the display cabinet, and it's really stale. And I felt like it tasted like refrigerator. You know how chocolate does when you leave it in there exposed? And the stuff inside is starting to shrink up because it's so old. The cake, I think there might be, originally was good cake in there, but so he's hurting on the outside, looks solid, but inside is like getting shrinky and small. And it tastes bad because it's been there too long. Anyway, so that's what I see for him. But I think he's still going to hold it together. As of right now, free will is everything. You know, we can't, stop people from making choices from their soul's path. And we don't want to stop them. They're learning what they're supposed to do. Sometimes it affects other people, and that's just how it goes. But the last thing I wanted to end on was, some of you might not like this or think it's a good thing to do, but I think we should. And you don't have to do this, but I'm going to send powerful, energetic light around Donald Trump, into his mind, into his heart, and fill that. See if I can get him to at least see what he could do for his country. I want him to be able to go to a higher realm of being. I know I'm fighting against the wall, but I just thought if we could do that, I think it's important. We don't want to, I mean, a lot of times I say things on here which I'm not a fan, obviously, of the orange cake guy, but I do feel as if we all have a purpose, and he's our purpose in this time. We had to rally together, Democratic Party and people who oppose Trump had to realize what we were taking for granted. And that was his purpose. I've done a thing about his past life. And we're fighting against power and greed. And part of the whole Pluto and Aquarius shift too. But if we send light and God's energy to him, envelop him, maybe miracles happen. He might have a shift in a viewpoint and see what maybe leaving the race or doing something would do for the country, doing anything that he could in a positive way for the country. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I think it's good karma that we do that. Okay, that was it. You guys have a great week. I think this is Sunday, so I'll put this up by tonight, and you guys I'll have it for the week. And I hope all of you have a wonderful week. Take care. Stay safe, and till next time. That was